I seek leave to make a brief explanation before addressing a question without notice to the Attorney-General on the report tabled on the 11th of November in the other place by the Training Centre visitor and the Office of the Chief Psychiatrist.
Is leave granted? Leave is granted. The Honourable Mr Sims.
Thank you, Mr President. The joint inspection of the mental health and wellbeing of children and young people detained at the Adelaide Youth Training Centre report details the conditions and practices at the Adelaide Youth Training Centre and the impact of these practices on the mental health and wellbeing of children and young people detained in that facility. The report identifies the use of physical and mechanical restraints on the Adelaide Youth Training Centre at the centre during 2023 to 2024. To quote from the report, the use of physical and mechanical restraints in AYTC is inconsistent with child-focused trauma-informed standards, particularly those set out by the Office of the Chief Psychiatrist for mental health settings. In the Training Centre visitors' review of records from the Adelaide Youth Training Centre for the 1st of July 2023 to 30th of June 2024, physical force was used on young people on 321 occasions in incidents, or 68.7% of the time that young people were involved in incidents. Mechanical restraints were used on young people on 84 occasions in incidents, or 18% of the time that young people were involved. Prone restraint was used on young people on 114 occasions in incidents, or 24.6% of the time that young people were involved in incidents. This, Mr President, is when a child is held face down on the ground with their arms and legs held down by staff. To quote from the Chief Psychiatrist, Dr John Bailey, the use of prone restraint was among several significant areas of concern in the detention facility. Internationally, this is recognised as a very risky form of restraint. It can lead to asphyxia and potentially even death. So we do not believe that prone restraint should be used. My question, therefore, to the Attorney-General is, can the Attorney-General update this place on South Australia's progress towards implementing the National Prevention Mechanism under the optional protocol to the Convention Against Torture and other cruel, inhumane or degrading treatment or punishment to ensure that there is adequate oversight in South Australia's places of detention? And when will the government respond to the recommendations made within this report? And surely his government can do better than this.
And I'll say a couple of things. Of course, the Youth Training Centre falls under the responsibility of the Minister for Human Services, the Honourable Nat Cook, but I'm sure that she will be looking at the report by the Training Centre visitor and looking at anything that needs to be implemented or changed or falls out from that. It does show, sir, the level of oversight that does occur in South Australia, that a report such as this is tabled in our Parliament. In relation to the area that is within, partly within my portfolios, but within other people's portfolios, the implementation of OPCAT in South Australia, I can say we have no objection to its implementation in South Australia. And in fact, I know from regular meetings with Attorneys General and Australia, it certainly has been, I think still is, the case for most jurisdictions around Australia. No fundamental or in principle objection to its implementation. What is the case, though, sir, is that I think it's unanimous amongst jurisdictions that for a treaty that the federal government has signed up to, that states are still awaiting the federal government's contribution to implementing OPCAT. So, as I said, yeah, we have no fundamental principled opposition to the implementation of the treaty that the federal government signed up to in OPCAT, but given it is a decision of the federal government, I think all jurisdictions are still needing that funding from the federal government to make it happen. What's that?
A supplementary question arising from the answer. The Honourable Mr Sims.
What action is the Attorney-General taking in his portfolio to ensure the implementation of OPCAT here in South Australia? And will the Malinauskas government be putting money on the table to ensure that this is implemented within our state?
Sir, I'm pleased to be able to inform the honourable member that over the last almost 4 years, I've been involved in making numerous representations to the federal government for funding for OPCAT.